Minutes have been distributed. Are there any changes, comments, corrections? I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of invoices. Do we have invoices to go around?
We do have two invoices, Mr. Mackin. They're here, one for Jocelyn Lesser for their regular services and Toppy Associates, their feasibility study, current building, as well as the geotech add-on. So the information's attached if you want to see backup, and we'll pass these around.
Okay, great. Are we still getting a running kind of balance on the, is that in here?
It's on each invoice.
Okay, great.
There's one on Johnson Lester, and the tab pay lists everybody with all the backup.
Terrific. So why don't I let you take on the introduction of the Shawmut Design and Construction. Unless one of the gentlemen from the committee want to speak to the process.
Want to speak to it? Sure. As you know, we all met last Wednesday, interviewed the four finalists for the senior list. We had four very good presentations. We had an interesting process. We actually graded each one and over a number of different performance criteria, which was sent out to you guys, I think, yesterday. It was a pretty full process, and we really got into the minutia and got into a lot of detail. I really enjoyed the process. It really made me consider a lot specific. So I took the entire thing, came down to rated everyone based purely on their presentation, without considering the cost, which is a great idea. Because you want to look at the quality you're going to get for the money, not just the money. And then we looked at the financial proposal and ranking again. And here we are with the folks from Shawmut Construction who came up with your winner. So,
Okay. If you want to introduce your team and then walk us through the presentation.
First off, I want to thank you all. We're very excited to be here. We've got a great team put together. This is a team with a lot of K-12 experience, a lot of 149A experience. The fact that you elected to go 149A, see them at risk in lieu of just hard bidding this as a general contractor certainly makes a statement in terms of what your expectations are, in terms of the quality of the process, as well as the bricks and mortar of the building. And that's really what we specialize in. You can hear a little more about that. A little abbreviated version of what we presented, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Alright, so just trying to work the format of the room a little bit. I'm going to have these guys come up here in a second, but we wanted to, as Ron mentioned, it's an abbreviated version. We spent about 20-30 minutes doing a formal presentation to the selection committee, so we wanted to kind of hit some of the highlights of what we talked about here. Some of you may or may not have gone through the full qualifications of what Shawmut's experience has been, so I just wanted to take a very brief moment here just to reassure the team we have a depth of experience in CM at risk projects, in particular in public work, public high schools. So you can see some active projects here and some screenshots here. We work with other organizations, authorities in Massachusetts at different levels, but here's our MSBA experience. This is the overall team structure. We'll talk a little bit about who each of the players are here. You met Ron just now. My name is Mike Kearns. I've been at Shawmut for 15 years and the project executive for this project. I head up our Western Mass office in West Springfield. Pretty much work on any academic project outside of 495. It falls into my territory. And so I look at making sure that the job has enough resources, the right resources, to really deliver on everything that we commit to delivering on in the project. At the team level here, I should also say I have public work experience, MSBA experience. Sam couldn't be here tonight, but Sam is our estimator. I've worked with many projects with Sam. We've both worked with JLA before as well. So we think there's good chemistry there and continuity of the team. I'll let Craig and Steve introduce themselves.
Sure, I'm Craig Debris. I'm Senior Project Manager with Shawmut. I have over 15 years of public construction experience, both in 149 and 149A. Currently working on the Stoneham Middle School project with JLA and TAPE Associates, and that's a $33 million project, 149A. Other notable projects that I've been involved with in years past is the Massachusetts State House roof replacement, exterior repairs, and the Coleman Skiing Lift, which was one of the first 149A in the Commonwealth of Mass when the process first came out. School experience, I've been involved with the Mullen Elementary School in Falmouth and the Pembroke Middle School, as well as the Sturgis Charter School in Hyannis. Great to be here and excited about the project.
Good evening, Steve Ham. I'll be the senior superintendent for the project. I'm currently working on the Estabrook Elementary School in Lexington right now. I also was involved in, I ran the Wayland High School project as well, which was a 149A project. I'm very excited to do this project, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
I don't know if you caught it, Steve just gave himself a promotion to senior superintendent. So,
I'm glad you picked up.
The gold boxes down here are some of the value added that Shauna brings to the table that you get with Shauna's CM at risk. So this is the day-to-day core team. There's a lot of work, a lot of resources that we draw on from our company that are involved that really add a lot of value to this process, from pre-construction through closeout and warranty. You can see multiple divisions and groups. MEP Services looks at quality control of the project. About 25 to 30% of your total project cost is compromised with just 3 trades: mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So that's significant. So we really want to make sure we have good attention to that. We have an in-house BIM coordinator. Again, all these in-house services. We're not sub-consulting any of this work. It's critical to the success of the job. We have a warranty group. They get involved during construction, pre-construction, through construction, and closeout. Safety, of course, is paramount with an occupied campus, adjacent to the high school operations and middle school operations. So just in the interest of time, I'm just showing you it's more than this team. We have a lot that we bring to the table.
So this chart represents pre-construction milestones, showing the schematic, the design development, going through CDs, and then working towards 100% construction docs and finally achieving the GMP. Early on the onset of pre-construction, Sam, myself, and Mike, I'll be the point person with pre-construction. We'll establish the budget, control the budget. We'll look at VEing of the systems throughout between the schematic and DD, looking at constructability. Obviously, there's the trade pre-qual process, which is part of the 149 contract method. And what's really key is pulling and really defining scopes and scope packages. Working closely with TAPE to really define those documents before they hit the street. And that's really the value, I think the value added to the 149A and getting construction manager involved up front and early in the process. So it's, and I think just to add too, our services in-house, we have engineering services in terms of coordination, our capabilities of working closely with the architect and the designers to deal with clash detection and the coordination process, which is very important. Next slide just shows again all the same milestones, but moving quickly in, we'll move into some early release packages, which we discussed at the presentation. You see concrete, structural steel, and site work being early packages. Working closely with Sam, moving right into procurement, and then obviously construction activities, which also over Steve.
I'll take you through the construction aspect of the schedule. We're looking to mobilize next summer, mid-July, to start the enabling work. Fall suit into foundation, superstructure, into the envelope. Then we get into the rough inspections, roughing, excuse me, then into finishes. Notice the milestone date here of 3/20/16. That's when we're looking to turn the building over to everybody, which is going to give us a little demobilization. And what that is pretty much going to tell us right now is that we're going to turn the building over at the end of March 2016. We'll have people available, stay for punch list and minor stuff, setting up for the next phase, which will get us into the demo aspect of the project. Then after the demo is completed, we'll get into the fields. In the next 4 or 5 slides, I'm going to show you the logistics of the project, so you can understand how we've put this project together and how we're going to deal with the community and the building of the new schools. Right out of-
Steve, I also I added a timeline across the top here that helps too, just so you saw the Gantt chart schedule and this, kind of as we walk through, you can just follow this along here.
You gotta bear with me, I don't have my reading glasses.
All from memory.
First thing I want to point out, these yellow dots out here, are indicating the residents off of Oak Street. Okay, so they're not trees, they're just trying to symbolize the neighbors in the community that are going to be affected by the project. So, my memory corrects me right, this is Oak Street coming down through here. Phase 1 will come out in the enabling process. What we'll be doing is setting up the fence. We're going to isolate the work zone from everybody, from the residents, the school community. Basically, we're going to just keep everyone isolated within these hash marks right here. We'll set up temporary fencing. We'll make an access road coming in off Oak Street that will take all your deliveries to the project. That will be the in and out. So basically, what you're going to see in this footprint right here is the whole construction process for phase 1 of the building of the middle and high school. We'll be able to start degrubbing, getting the soils down to subgrade. Basically, what we're preparing for is the foundation and the superstructure, what will follow after that. The next phase will be the construction component of it. When we get into the foundations and the superstructure, you'll see all that your site utilities are in, we're up and running. You basically have a subgrade platform. We'll start the foundations. We'll get into the exterior package and the steel package on this phase right here. And you'll see that the community is still affected up here on Oak Street. And we're going to keep them basically with the truck activity and the delivery to the sites coming in and out of here. Next phase, once we turn over your new schools, we're going to get into phase 2, which is going to be almost like an enabling work for the demolition aspect of the project. You're fully occupied, signed off, and you're fully functional in this phase 1. We move down to the south end, I believe that's south, and we're going to set up the same perimeter fencing around the whole existing campus. I want to note that these areas here are showing the residents that could be impacted by the demolition aspect of this phase 2. The trucking route and the entrance to this phase will come off of, I believe this is Mass Ave? Off of Mass Ave. So we're totally just flipping to the south side of the campus. We will start our hazmat, we'll go through the evaluation, the demolition process, we'll start our demolition process from the furthest point of the campus, and we'll work our way out. Once we get through that aspect of it, we'll get down to, we'll call it subgrade, then we're going to go into what I'm going to call phase 3, which will be the new fields. Then once that demo of your old campus is removed, you'll still have total isolation. You'll have your new fields going in. You'll still have access coming in and out off of Mass Ave here. And then we'll get the fields up and running, get them turned over to you. And then we'll demobilize by taking all the fencing down and back right out off of Mass Ave. And that would be the fall into beginning of December of 2016. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the logistics or the plans that we're going through, but
So obviously, it's the first blush, and feedback, we'll work on it, we need your input in order to really finalize it. But, subcontractors will all be bought in accordance with the plan, a traffic management plan. Steve said it, but we understand we're guests in the neighborhood, and we're not a big bad contractor. You don't want to have complaints coming from Oak Street and so forth from the neighbors. So how we conduct the work is just as important as the work that's actually being done.
I think the only question that came up during the interview was a turnover in March. I think as we said, we may want to consider, is it possible to even move it up further and do a mid-year turnover?
Yep.
But again, first blush.
I think that, yeah, that becomes really important in terms of thinking about how we might utilize either traditional kinds of school holidays to affect that move, or create a calendar that will support that, given
Right.
the good predictability from that turnover occurs. But, that's very exciting news for course, it gives then those fields the opportunity to get planted in the fall. And then, for a couple of years, at least 2 years out before you can really use it.
It actually works on the long run because you have to commission the building too. Gives you that little longer time to get the systems up, work the bugs out and stuff, rather than trying to finish in June, turn it over in September, and then you're still maybe having chiller issues or something. So it's a good thought.
Just a comment from the selection subcommittee. We were favorably impressed with the attention to the neighbor relations. And that's something that we have felt is very important, and it's great to hear Sean really draw out the importance of that, right from the beginning of the construction phase.
Well, they're a big part of the project. So we're affecting them. And we're trying to minimize that to nothing. And I was given an example earlier that on the project that I'm on right now, we got the superstructure up. It's a 4-story building, and we have all the temporary lighting, which stays on 24 hours. And it was a concern with the abutters. So the question came up is, can we shut the lights off at night? It's a liability issue, and it's a safety issue as well. And so one of the actions that we took to try to prevent that and please the abutters is that we took aluminum tinfoil and we wrapped all the dome lights and the temp lights on all 4 stores to take the glare away from them. Basically became a downlight. It solved the issue, but that's an example that we'll work with, and we're open-minded. So I know I deal with issues on a day-to-day basis. That's just how we communicate and resolve them together as a team. It's not an individual effort. That's what it comes down to.
Since a lot of it is the community outreach and the communication. So various amounts of tools. You get an abutters list and a notification to go out ahead of construction. We have project websites that talk about upcoming activity and expected types of equipment that you're going to see on site. All of those things help be proactive about expectation setting, and that helps get community buy-in. So that's definitely important for us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
question about that. Did you guys look at some I'm curious, like, what in terms of where the access road was going to be, kind of how that worked as far as thought process and some of the I would have thought maybe there was an alternative on Mass Ave as well. And I'm just curious what made you guys select.
As far as the main access to the square right here.
Yep.
I think for the, I think that we kind of gave a drawing of what we thought, Nathan, just so we could narrow down some ideas for some people. Again, we asked for them to look at different options.
From the constructability side, in my view, I look at it as a perfect opportunity to get your site utilities in there. Just taking a look at the site right now, most of your utilities are going to come off Old Street into your project. Not knowing, talking to the utility companies yet, but I would imagine it coming from that way. If we can develop that before we start the foundations and the superstructure, it gives me more access to logistics, the laydown area, parking for the subcontractors. It's a better option all around. It just makes the project move. And once I set up the full construction, you'll see that it'll be very productive for everybody.
Okay.
It out.
Thanks.
Certainly look at access from the south. Things to contend are going to be kind of shared traffic patterns with bus drop-off, student drop-off, things of that nature. So the more you overlap that, you open it up to coordination and logistical issues. If it can be done, if that's preferred.
I don't know. I assume you'll get that question from the people on Oak Street. So I
expect.
Yeah, the other thing to consider too is, from my point of view, you want to isolate the existing campus. You want to keep me up north and build a new campus. The less interruptions I have for the existing campus and the drop-off, the less the anxiety of the staff, the students, and the parents will be as we build this.
And actually, 2 campuses are impacted by that, with Turkey Hill being up there, which is currently occupied with 4 through 7. Yeah. And Nathan, just another point of reference there is that the traffic flow through the campus has been a major, this needs to be addressed kind of thing that's come out of both the 2007 study that DRA did, as well as the feasibility as Charlie and his group started looking at, is talking about how we're really going to get this problem on campus.
Right, so you mean like after it's built, having the traffic cross over the, having that through traffic or whatever? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was just, I mean, the only alternative I could even see there was like coming up between Passios and the high school. And I don't, I just don't, and I was thinking about the middle school there. I just don't know, what roads all this traffic's gonna come from. I'm sure you guys would.
Yeah, we would do
think
a
about
traffic study and look at, like, what direction you're gonna come in, around, or this way, and you gotta look at that, you gotta bounce it off the committee and say, is there gonna be a favorable or unfavorable outlook on these options? And then that, once we get agreement on that, that goes out in the subcontractor packages as part of their contract, so they're aware of the approved trucking routes.
Gotcha.
Might even be an opportunity during the summer when we're doing all the heavy hauling of soils for the excavation, and maybe we come out through, I'm not sure we have summer camps and how active the campuses are, but maybe we fill a lot when we start out for the summer, and then once the school back in session, we move back to the village. There's infinite options, and we can certainly talk about.
So
They
we're-
do have like summer soccer camps, used to front fields and things like that, so it would still probably be a coordination issue.
Another topic we talked about, safety. This is a Shawnee Valley active drive safe and injury-free environment. We have safety weeks every year. The current theme this year is safety by choice, not by chance. We look at a lot of protocol that we have in place to ensure public safety as well as job site safety. So our mod rating of 0.92 is a fantastic rating that really looks at what your safety performance record is. As far as public safety goes, it's the logistics plan that Steve was just talking through to make sure that traffic patterns are understood, that pedestrians are always safe, that access to the school is always safe. Our working with quorum policies, so subcontractors are aware how to behave, with guests on campus.
Things like
Zero tolerance.
Typical signage constraints, so as we drive down to the subcontractors on a daily basis, we'll actually have signs inside the site as opposed to outward facing, just reminding the workers that they're on an occupied campus, there's kids around, think that they're here.
And if I may just jump in, that's one of the other points that in terms of looking at, Sean demonstrated to me the sensitivity around these core checks and how critical they are in the process that ensures that everybody has gone through those.
This is a badging system, a number badging system that once a worker, a couple of weeks in advance of them being on site, submit all the paperwork, core check is done through the town, and they get approved. Once they're approved, they get a unique numbered hard hat sticker, so we can identify anybody on site as that sticker. And we can always trace them back information to who that employee was. As well as job site safety, so the day-to-day of what we do on site to make sure the workers are safe is certainly important. Until yet, we're looking at kind of close out here, wrap up, if you want to grab this, but what we talked about today was really our public and academic experience. The benefit, Sam wasn't here to really hit on this, but the estimating accuracy is part of that involvement during pre-construction to make sure we're maximizing that value. As Craig had said, we get as much scope as you possibly can, coordinated in the bidding documents, that's where you're going to maximize your value. Safety and all that translates to certainty of outcome. Sean, we have something that we call 9s and 10s. So most contractors might look at on time and on budget. For us, that's 5. So it's really about everything above and beyond that. It's about the experience. This is what CM at Risk is about. It's enhancing that experience beyond the bricks and mortar, beyond on time and on budget. It's really what we deliver. And that's really closing. I apologize.
No, that's good.
Now the senior PX.
Is it possible for us to get that electronic copy of the presentation?
Yes.
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you. Look forward
Oh,
to it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Any of the subcommittee members have any further comments? Or we-
No, just to echo Dave's comment, it was a tremendous experience. It was a lot of fun, and it was very educational. applicants were pre-qualified, and the proposals were all solid. But Shaman was able to differentiate themselves and emerged as the top candidate.
Any other questions from the committee? So I'll entertain a motion to contract with Shaman Design and Construction as our CM at risk. Is there official language that we need on this, or?
No, other than we're voting for the pre-construction fund. And then, once we vote for that, then we'll get that contract out to you guys this week.
So
Assuming we'll send it to Carrie, she'll be signing it. A copy also go to legal, Carrie, or, the pre-construction contract, so that'll be for us to send them that out there.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, welcome
Thank you
aboard.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder, this afternoon, Greg sent around a memo that just summarized the process. And the second paragraph includes some of the financial information. So you saw all of that this afternoon. If you have any questions.
Okay,
Okay.
design update.
You're up.
Just like, it's on the back.
So we have a two-sided handout tonight. On one side, you have an updated set of color floor plans. Every main piece of the floor plan that you're looking at here hasn't changed at all, which is why we're not going to show you a full-on presentation board. This is just purely for your records. At the last building committee meeting, we spent that day meeting with faculty and staff members, and we went through programmatic elements with them. And what came out of that was a lot of updates to this plan, but it didn't make changes to the overall space, the large spaces. The cafeteria is still in the same place, the entries are still in the same place, the middle school, high school is still in the same place. So this is moving the pieces around, but it's very minor. And subsequently to that, Charlie's actually been out and met with Roxy and the two principals and the athletic department again. We've gone over this plan one more time, and since then we've made updates again. So this is a thing that we're constantly updating and tweaking now and finessing. On the back side of this plan is an updated color site plan, which is also what this board is here. So this is the site plan that Charlie talked to at the last building committee meeting, and this just makes it a lot clearer for you to see. And Sean actually just did a great job of explaining the site. But this is it in its overall capacity as it is right this second. The one thing to notice here is that there is now a soccer field that's on the Mass Ave side of the site, and that was something that the athletic department felt strongly that they needed. Because we're going to be taking over those two fields for the duration of construction, they really needed that space as an actual field that they could use. So that's going to be an early release field that's going to require things like removing the power lines that currently run across that field. It's going to require regrading that field. And on this diagram, you can actually see that the existing roadway is underneath where the soccer field is actually shown on that diagram. So what this is saying is that eventually that soccer field will be a full-size regulation soccer field, but during the first two phases of the project, that field will actually just be reduced in size, but it will be a grass field that they can use for practice as well as for games. So this is just an additional thing that's come up relatively recently.
The fields on that, is it still the plan that we're going to try and do those fields first?
We are trying to do this soccer field first, right?
Okay, right.
Yes. And that would be very, like an early release package to try and
Okay.
get that up and running. by-
So at least that will still exist while we're doing the other fields.
Exactly, yeah, so you'd have use of obviously the football field and the running track, the practice field, and then this new field that we're creating on that side.
Okay.
So our coming deadlines are now getting ready for a cost estimate, which is middle of August, August 12th. And then after that, it's the MSBA submission. So TAPE is currently working. We've now brought all of our consultants on board. We've met with all of our consultants last week. So they're all up to date on where the project is, and we're currently working with them and coordinating with them to get a set of documents ready to submit to our cost estimator, so that we can get an accurate price back. I think the next building committee meeting is just prior to the cost estimate. So at that meeting, we'll be actually showing you three-dimensional renderings, exterior renderings of the building, which will show some of the fenestration, some of the materials, some of the forms. We kind of touched on it last time with the conceptual matter, but at the next meeting, we'll actually be showing you renderings of what the building is looking like. And that's almost perfect timing because we have to have that information in the project so that our cost estimator has that information.
And we're still on that schedule where the cost estimating will be delivered on the 19th of September?
I believe so, yes.
To the MSBA.
Through the MSBA, right.
So this is just another good example too of having Shawmut now on board with us, because at the same time that TAPE is sending the drawings off to their estimator, Shawmut, who's just on board today, is now knowing that you will be getting drawings.
I'm emailing you.
So the importance of timing is really good. So, but the MSBA requires, so the
And you
project.
say hit the ground running.
Sounds like we need a meeting.
The MSBA requires that 2 weeks prior to a board meeting, that the cost estimate is provided to them. So September 19th is that target submission date for the cost estimate to the MSBA, with the board meeting being October 3rd. So those are the milestones that we are continuing to drive.
And everybody is, I know, mindful of the fact that we had hoped a vote, a very important vote that's taking place at the MSBA is scheduled for the 31st, because on July 31st will be at the MSBA, there will be a board meeting, and this project is on the agenda. And at that point in time, we have good signals going forward, but the board will vote whether to or not move us into schematic design. But we've had multiple conversations and conference calls with the MSBA. We've got thumbs up from the folks that are working the project with us there in terms of moving forward. But the formal vote still is yet to be taken, and I want to be mindful of that process and how that flows. Of course, that's part of the reason why we haven't necessarily released a lot of these documents yet at this point in time, is being cognizant of that process and how that flows when you're a partner with the MSBA.
Did you get from Chris Loxley that we go to that meeting?
Yes.
It's a little unsure.
Yeah, we're expected to
We're
be.
invited.
Yep.
Was there an expectation we would be discussing anything or
There-
questions if asked?
There was a possibility that the superintendent might speak to the project. I don't know if these folks are also part of that discussion.
No, I don't
think
think we have clarity around that, because I think there's been a change in tradition or form. I think that's one of the things we need to get cleared up. And we have alerted our legislative delegation to see if any of them might be able to join us as well. I know the MSBA is always very thorough about letting them know as well, but since we had the final okay that was going on to the agenda, I had already contacted our legislative delegation to see if any of them would want to be there or want to send a representative.
I would think we'd be hearing shortly to what time.
The
we're
final
on for,
agenda.
yeah. Anything for design?
Any questions from the team? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So the renderings of the facade, you mentioned that they would be available for this meeting. What's the date for that again? August 6th. Okay. I had some questions. I mean, it seemed like what you presented, at the last meeting, there was one alternative presented, and it wasn't clear, how much time you had to put into that. I had a couple questions. One is, if you've looked at it, if you've looked at any alternatives or gotten any feedback on some of the basic contours of that massing from any of the subcommittee of this group or any other source. And have you looked at some alternatives? And you talked about cost being a big driver of some of the decisions in the last massing.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they were construction costs. With the extensive use of flat roof and the problems we've had maintaining flat roofs in this building and the sort of unpredictable winters, I would be particularly interested in thinking about alternatives in terms of the massing, especially as far as the roof goes, for life cycle costs. So that's one thing. The other thing was, it was a pretty rough massing. It was, blocks and whatever. Just from an aesthetic standpoint, we're not obviously not expecting the Taj Mahal here or anything, but that's how that presents is going to have a big impact on community perception of the project as well. Maybe the renderings will change a lot of that. I was in Littleton for my son's baseball game the other day, and it's at one level it's pretty basic, but there's a lot of facade. They do a lot with the facade around the roof, as I'm sure you will, to sort of change perception of the building. So maybe some of that will be addressed by the renderings, but nonetheless, I was wondering how much time and kind of what thought process you guys were doing on alternatives, both from a life cycle cost and an aesthetic standpoint for finalizing the massing. And I guess I'm particularly concerned is maybe a little too strong word, but probably not. I'm a little concerned about that because there's not going to be a lot of time to iterate on this based on the schedule we just talked about. You're saying, we're going to see this in August 6th, and it's going to have to get turned right over to the cost estimator so that he can deliver in September.
Correct. So I think in terms of us presenting to you on August 6th and then going to the cost estimator, we'll be showing you materials, we'll be showing you roof forms, we'll be showing you fenestration, we'll be showing landscape ideas. The renderings will show all of these things that kind of tie the whole project together. And even if the roof forms change or even if some of the materials change, the overall cost that this building and our cost estimate is going to look at is not going to be affected that much because the materials that we're going to use around, it's going to be, a brick building predominantly, and it's going to have some concrete masonry in it. It's going to be materials that are durable, that we've used before, that our cost estimator knows that we've used before. We've worked with this cost estimator for a number of years now. So even if things change, I don't think it's going to ultimately affect the overall price of the project. So there is time for feedback on the renderings that we show you. It's not going to be this is it and this is the end of the process. So we're currently working on developing those elevations and those perspectives and those images, and then we will present them to you and then we will like feedback on them. But conceptually, last time we showed the idea that the four bays that are the actual pods of the classroom had the gabled roofs, the standing seam gabled roofs, and we were suggesting that they were stone barns, and we were saying that maybe we'd like to use a grey brick. And that then, in creating that flat roof in the middle, it gave us the perfect opportunity to put the mechanical units, which also hides them from view, which means that we don't have to put expensive mechanical strings on top of the building. And I understand the concern about flat roofs, but there's just such a premium when it comes to doing pitched roofs that we just have to find the right balance in flat roof versus pitched roof. But it's something we can certainly look at.
Or vaulted roof as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know kind of what we're looking at comparatively, like immediate cost versus life cycle cost. I know there's going to be some hard caps on the construction cost, but to the extent that we can all understand the choice that's being made would be awesome.
We'll be able to present that. Again, I think bringing Sean on board allows us to start setting the footprint for all the costs, then we'll drive from that. But this is to develop a conceptual cost, then we'll start looking at options, and the specific examples you're looking at, we'll be able to drive into the right costs.
But there's certainly time. It's not that we're going to present you with, three-dimensional renderings and this is what your building's going to be. We definitely want feedback. This is a process where, it's your building ultimately, so we do want feedback from you.
So this is just a test. I mean, we're putting it in trying to test the number that we think the building should be at. So from that point, we start to develop different costing scenarios for what you're doing.
And aesthetic choices.
And aesthetic
Okay,
choices.
I got you. And so it sounds like you're saying within this stuff that doesn't affect cost, there'll still be comparatively a large amount of time/room to fine tune. What I'm also hearing is that some of the decisions have more impact on cost,
They do.
like, roof stop choice. But it sounds like you're saying you're willing to at least do some level of exploration of what even if you don't go into specific designs of what the cost differences,
We'll show different options.
Okay.
We do all of that. So you'll end up doing a conceptual estimate, a schematic, DD estimate, and then again, we'll test it again as we get close to bid to CDs. We'll do a 60 and then a 90. So there's all types of evolutions. In addition, as Sean had said, we'll do certain DE items. So we'll realize that maybe the gable roof was too expensive, we go with that one. But you'll see all of those costs all the time. So it's a pretty open book process.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? Just, you have an outline of additional classroom space at the end of either wing. Is that for future expansion, or is that based on fine tuning the enrollment numbers, or what's the thought process there?
No, that is actually for future expansion. We're showing it on the site plan also. We're leaving space beyond the parent pick-up and drop-off, green space for that also. So it's in case the building needs to go in the future, we've built that into both the landscape and the architecture.
Taipei was very sensitive to the conversation and the worry that has been expressed in terms of potential development or the impact on that in the schools. And yet, the certified number in terms of our build at this point in time with the MSBA, they understand the future pieces of it, but we have a certified number, and that's why Taipei demonstrated how to put these pieces here. And I know Dave asked it the last time in terms of what's that mean in terms of the core spaces. And the core spaces are growing, but the core spaces, even with those numbers, are about the core spaces that would be provided to us for a population that we think is growing by the couple hundred students that you see represented here.
Yeah, I guess just if I'm going to comment on that. So that was a concern that came up on the planning board, I guess, as well. Not just something they wanted me to relate. Is Lunenburg growing faster than anticipated? To what extent? I know you guys looked at all the planned things that were going in, so it's good.
And part of our informational package that we're starting to develop on this to have available for folks is an FAQ as well as supportive documentation that for those that want to drill down further will have layered information and enrollment definitely. Those numbers we know are a big concern across the community, and so we're sensitized to that, and our plan is to make sure that we include it and provide the information for folks to understand the facts as they currently exist and how we're talking about what happens in the future.
Gotcha.
There's that, within these deadlines, so we're only built a certain scope, size.
Yeah.
Down the road, if you want to spend more, most of it, you can build more, but
Right,
Right.
right.
I don't know about that, so that's the down right.
Yes.
I know what I was thinking. I thought we had another week until the 31st. Yeah, it's next week. Just maybe hoping for another week. No, time's going quick this week.
Sorry,
Definitely have to hear this week.
One quick question, Mr. Mason. for gymnasium? Essentially, it's a double gym. Is it gonna be a divided wall there?
Yes, actually, the athletic department asked that it could be divided into 4 sections.
Okay.
So you could use it's a full-size main basketball court with bleachers on each side that hold 250 people.
Okay.
And then the 2 cross courts are junior high basketball courts. So you can subdivide those so you can get 4 teaching stations within the gymnasium.
And that's being accomplished by a net, not by a wall.
Correct.
And the really nice thing about this design as well is there's 2 other physical education spaces there. I think we refer to it as a mini gym.
Yeah, there's an alt-PE space which is about 1,000 square feet.
It's up in the corner.
That's in the top corner,
Yep.
the largest volume. I'm sorry, these.
And then a cardio room.
Cardio, as well as a health classroom within the green mass of the gymnasium space.
There was also some discussion, I just want to point out, because there may be some concerns about it, but there has been established a separate middle school locker room and high school locker room.
As well as entrances.
And interesting, that's correct, yeah.
So this design really does adhere and accomplish what our goal was, is to ensure that separation of those 2 populations and the differentiation of their program, while yet giving us that opportunity to take advantage of how we have begin to have the most efficient staffing levels that we can to offer that diverse educational program.
So what do they got with in the gymnasium wing? What's the height? That's the side. Facing next to each other.
To the underside truss, or to the height of the overall building.
If you're standing on Oak Street or in one of these backyards looking up at it,
Currently, I think the roof line's at 42 feet. Yeah. And it's being dictated mostly actually by the fly loft for the auditorium, which is tends to be slightly higher than what we require for underside of truss in the gym to the floor. So it simplifies the roof lines, that keeps the cost down, makes structure a lot easier. So if we can build that as one big volume and then house these 2 large spaces within it. But you'll see that corridor running along the front, so the scale of the building will really be pulled down because we have this glass corridor that we've been requested to put a lot of trophy cases along the wall of the gymnasium. I guess there's a lot of trophies to display, so.
very optimistic.
Absolutely.
I can make less trophies.
That was
Especially now that we have more cost.
Yeah, that's.
Any other comments or questions? All right, moving along, let's see, we already discussed the MSBA Board of Directors meeting. I'll be to the superintendent, and I'm looking forward to that. Our next meeting is the 6th.
Yes, we will have to do
That's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
What brought us to Tuesday? Was just on my schedule,
Or was it this other schedule? It's Tuesday's the Board of Selection, that's right.
For some reason, I thought that there may have been a conflict that week for someone from the district, but Foxy, you said this is scheduled a few months ago.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, so if August 6th isn't convenient.
There's a school committee meeting on the 7th.
That's what it
Oh,
was.
so that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes. Okay.
So we just said.
School committee from selection.
There's a pecking order.
I stay out of that.
I mean, I don't know if the 5th.
Based on the budget
would be
you
an
control.
option. I don't know, I don't remember the conversation.
Oh, then we should be getting the whole thing then.
Something to do.
Why we arrived at. Oh, Dave's not there anyway. Is that what you said? Dave's away on this?
No, I was saying he wouldn't be there. That's why we said this.
Oh,
We were thinking
at
about
the-
Charlie needed a day down or something.
Unless we keep some.
All right, okay.
So I think we need to circle back and confirm the date, we need to touch base with Charlie.
Okay.
If the sixth is inconvenient, because if there's a board of selectmen's meeting, is that what, so then let us get back to you, but we're looking at that week though.
Was the 7th?
The 7th is school committee meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Seventh is school committee, and
8th
we're,
is finance committee.
Right.
Finance.
and we're not
That's what-
sure that that Monday will work,
Yeah.
so let us, we'll have to work that out.
And
But we'll-
Nathan, you probably have planning.
Yeah, planning board that week?
I don't have my schedule for that in front of me. It would be on a Monday.
But
if
we'll
it is.
circle around.
So,
Okay, so we'll get
Because
that.
it may have been dictated by Charlie's schedule and that is.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that's clear with everyone.
Okay.
Would we consider doing it earlier or?
Well, I think that the meeting is really to look at what Damien had talked about just a few moments ago, his updated rendering prior to them being issued for costing. So it's really just timing, Jane needs time to put all of this together. So let us, we'll have to talk to Charlie and we'll get back.
It's timing there, but it's timing in the next one. I mean, this is the impact of,
Right.
the MSBA moving us to a July date.
It is,
That's
Yeah.
the
that's
July
other
date.
things. Right.
But, I'm also sensitive in terms of the committee having time to really look at that and give the due diligence to it as well. So we need to identify those dates once again, just to refresh everybody's memory. I'm sorry, I had a vacation in between, I can't remember what happened. So,
Well, Charlie's back Monday. He's on
Okay.
vacation this week.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, community outreach, we actually did have a meeting a week ago with a kind of a working group to discuss the committee's plans going forward in terms of community outreach. And we've started to put together the outlines of a plan, including one of the first steps being the completion of a frequently asked questions list. And I would encourage anybody on the committee who wants to see a particular question answered or questions answered, to forward them to the folks at Jocelyn, and to make sure that they're included in the frequently asked questions. In addition, we've talked about creating a schedule for the community meetings, also identifying the natural places of contact with parents in the community, such as open houses and community-wide events. We're hoping to have a pamphlet or some kind of hard handout, for instance, that we could be able to distribute at the bonfire, August the 24th. We might want to think about, at our next meeting, having a further discussion about how we can participate as members of the committee at that site. I don't know whether we want to consider something like, I'm a member of the, a tag that says I'm a member of the building committee, ask me a question, just something so that people have some contact with us and we can begin the dialogue with the community. I see this as a beginning dialogue so that in September and October we have our scheduled meetings, our scheduled formal contacts, our outreach that hopefully will even do things like, invite us into your house for coffee, invite your neighbors, that we have that set up. So we're working on that plan. If anybody would like to assist, we could definitely set up a separate set of meetings for a working group to help with the plan. It would have to be within the next couple of weeks, frankly. We really have to, in the next 3-4 weeks tops, have our plan finalized. So if anybody would like to volunteer, see me.
What does the bonfire signify?
It signifies burning a big bonfire.
It's a fair, but instead of fireworks, we have a gigantic bonfire. We
It's a
burn
town
things out
tradition.
here.
Show where the corn comes from.
4th is when they
What?
used to hold it. And then they moved it.
There's no update on the pack, on the question. They have, as far as I know, they haven't met again.
Craig, did you hear? Bob helped clarify that it's really, it was initiated around 4th of July celebration, but over time, I know it went away for a period of time, and now it's.
A lot of people went away on
returned.
vacation, and
Yeah.
August tends to be more people
Yeah.
around. They actually used to burn railroad ties with all the creosote.
Oh, wow.
They put tires in the middle.
Oh.
Good.
Burned for days.
Oh.
On the subject of